Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be reading Reddit stories about brutal honesty. So what are my thoughts about brutal honesty? I will admit that honesty is something that I need to work on. I don't like to offend people. I don't like to hurt their feelings, but that is not necessarily a great thing. I will admit that I can be a bit of a coward sometimes, and that is something that I need to work on. However, sometimes people use this excuse, they use and abuse this excuse of being brutally honest just to be mean. I mean, there's no other way to put it. So we're going to be exploring this idea through some stories that I've selected on Reddit. Let's get started with the first story. This one is called, "Am I the a-hole for being brutally honest and telling my friend that a man wasn't interested in her?" My friend Ainsley went on a date a month ago with this guy named Luke. She met him on Tinder. She said they had a good time and started talking about what they want to do for a second date and what time works best for their schedules. We hung out a handful days ago, so I asked her what were the second date plans, and she said that they couldn't nail down a date yet because Luke is really busy and has a lot going on. That sounded fine to me at the time, but it's going on a month and a half and they still haven't gone on their second date. Ainsley has been complaining that she wants to see him again, and she keeps saying he's busy when she reminds him about it. He has started giving lame excuses like, "I don't know what I'll be doing that day." And just a few days ago, he told her he couldn't do this weekend because he had to take his dog to the groomers, but it's not like that would take all day. So yesterday, when she was talking on the phone about the restaurant she wants to take him to and how she hopes to see him again, I told her that I think Luke is lying about being busy because he's avoiding her and doesn't want to go on a second date. I apologized, but told her that if he really wanted to see her, he'd prioritize their date and make it happen. I said that Luke was wrong for not being able to tell her the truth, and she should focus on someone else. Ainsley got angry and said that I was acting jealous and trying to bring her down. She hung up and won't answer my texts. Am I the a-hole? I don't believe that the person who wrote this is the a-hole for telling her friend the truth. I think she was actually being a good friend, and I do understand that the friend was hurt because it's not nice to hear. Sometimes the truth is not what we want to hear. However, friends are here to, that's their role. They have to tell us the truth. And especially in a situation like this, where the friend is caught up in this romance and she likes this guy and she's not being able, clearly she's not able to see things for what they are. She's probably in this fantasizing this relationship. She's not seeing things as they are, but more like as she wishes things to be. And it is our role as friends to be able to guide our friends towards the right direction when we can. And if I was her friend and she was telling me this story of this guy that she saw on the first date, and they mentioned going out on a second date, so she probably got her he probably made her believe that the date went well and that he wanted to go on a second date. And maybe he was honest in the moment. Maybe that's what he thought at the moment. He was caught up in the moment and he said that. But because she likes him, she just grabbed that information and she focused on that. And then she completely disregarded the following behaviors that are very telling. And I do understand when you're in that position, I don't want to judge her because when you're in that position, sometimes you don't see things clearly. And because the guy is not being honest in this instance, he's giving excuses, but he's never saying clearly, I don't want to see you on a second date, because probably he doesn't have the courage to do it. He's just making up these lame excuses, as she said. Saying that he doesn't know what he's going to be doing that day, or he has to take his dog to the groomer. I mean, anyone who's not in that situation can see that the guy doesn't want to see her because I don't know what I'll be doing that day. That means that essentially that means that you are available. You don't know what you'll be doing that day. You could be going on a second date with her. But that should tell her that going on a date with her is not something that he really values, because he'd rather do anything else. If he doesn't know what he's going to be doing that day, that means if really, like really nothing, have nothing going on in my life, maybe then I'll consider. It's not even like if I have nothing going on I'll go on a date with you. It's like if I have nothing going on that day, I will consider going on a date with you, maybe. So that's not a great sign, and she's not able to, I mean, if someone tells you that, that should tell you that they're not interested. But again, I understand that she probably just stayed on that idea of, oh, we said we were going on a second date and he said he wanted to go on a second date. But yeah, it's it's hard to tell people the things that are going to make them sad or that they don't want to hear, but sometimes it's just what you have to do. And it's unfortunate that she got angry at her friend. And I mean, I don't want to say she's the a-hole because maybe she overreacted. That can happen. But she went a little too far because apparently she got angry and told her friend that she was acting jealous and trying to bring her down. And she won't answer her texts. So that is a bit extreme of a reaction. Maybe it's just her emotions. Maybe she got overwhelmed by her emotions and that she's overreacting, but it's still not great that she reacted that way. And saying that her friend got jealous is going a bit too far, in my opinion, because clearly her friend is just looking out for her. And yeah. So the verdict is pretty clear on this one, not the a-hole. And I think, yeah, the verdict on Reddit is also not the a-hole. I'm just going to read some comments. Not the a-hole, the truth hurts. If he wanted to see her, he'd find a way, even just for a few minutes. It's been almost 2 months time for her to let go. Yeah, 2 months is very long. Not the a-hole, that's exactly what's going on. She's not taking the hint. Not the a-hole, you pointed out the truth. She's in denial now. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. She's in denial. And she has to go through this phase and then she'll come out of it and she'll realize. But right now, she's in denial. But no, the person who wrote this is clearly not in the wrong. This is one of the examples where being honest is completely warranted. Even if it comes with the risk of, I don't want to say losing a friend because it would be really stupid to lose a friend over this, but you know. Let's move on to the second story. This one is called, Am I the a-hole for honestly telling my girlfriend what I would change about her? I mean, we need some context, but just from the title, it's not great. This doesn't sound great. I would say a-hole if I had to guess. I mean, I have it in front of me, so I already know, but let's read the story. I watched a TikTok where a couple asked each other what they would change about each other, and they both said nothing. They're both perfect and they love each other very much, etc. So I thought, let me try this with my girlfriend, without filming, of course. She said, I wouldn't change anything about you. Maybe I would make you less anxious about everyday stuff so you wouldn't suffer. It's true, I tend to be very anxious and obsessive compulsive sometimes, but I'm dealing with it. Then she asked me what I would change about her. I told her I would like her to have her old body back, meaning before the pandemic and when she was more muscular and a little bit thinner. Also, I told her she could be less hairy in some areas like her face and arms, and I wish her face was more cared for. I wouldn't change anything fundamental about her appearance. Maybe her legs are a little bit thinner, but all my requests are very much achievable with a little effort. She didn't seem to appreciate my comments. Her expression changed and she locked herself in her room without saying anything. We slept on different beds, and the next day she told me something very hurtful. She said, I don't think that your appearance is perfect either. There are some issues, but I love you enough not to pester you about them. When I asked her what she meant, she replied that I she wished I followed her skincare advice to get rid of my acne and that I would work out with her more. I told her the difference is that I was honest and she lied. She didn't say anything, but it was obvious that she'd been crying the whole night. She went to her sister's house and hasn't been responding to my messages. So, am I the a-hole for being honest? Yes, you are. Um, yeah, there's a lot of things that I don't like about this. Um, it's just really stupid that he watched a TikTok and he got the idea from that he would tell those things to his girlfriend, and she hasn't even asked for anything. He's the one who came up with this idea after watching a TikTok videos because and it's really sad when I compare her reply, like her answer, when he asked her, what would you change about me? She just said, I wouldn't change anything about you. Maybe I would make you less anxious about everyday stuff so that you wouldn't suffer. So her answer comes from a place of love and empathy and yeah, just a place of love. And he started like making a whole list of all her flaws according to him, essentially. And that's very hurtful and very uncalled for. And yeah, I mean, I think this one is pretty obvious. I'm gonna read some of the comments. You're the a-hole. You saw an opportunity to confront your girlfriend about things you're not attracted to under the guise of, oh, look how fun and sweet. You tricked her and made her feel like not great. Yes, that's what happened. Yeah, exactly. He saw the TikTok video and he thought like, oh, this is the perfect opportunity to bring up this conversation about all the things that I don't like about my girlfriend and make her that she's probably maybe that not probably but maybe she's already insecure about these things, and now her boyfriend that she loves is like her boyfriend that she loves is the one pointing out these things, which is very hurtful. Yeah, and yeah, there's also just the way some of these things are worded. It's just like all my requests are very much achievable with a little effort. It's like this guy thinks of his girlfriend like some sort of project, or he's kind of almost dehumanizing her, in my opinion. Maybe I'm being a little bit dramatic, but yeah, there's something about the wording that's really bothering me. Anyways, this one was pretty obvious. Sometimes you just need to shut up. You don't have to say everything. Not every truth is worth mentioning. There's an update. I get it. I'm the a-hole. I called and profusely apologized, but she said she would think about my comments every time I look at her, and it's something she just can't forget. My girlfriend of 4 years broke up with me, and now I see why. Thank you all for your comments. I mean, it's a little bit late. It's too late, but yeah, I do understand why she broke up with you. I think people tend to underestimate like the power of words. When you say something to someone, it stays. It doesn't go away after you said it. It's going to be there, and they're going to be hearing these things again and again at different times. So yeah, got to be careful about what we say, and it's probably for the best that they broke up and now she can move on, because yeah, it's probably too late. I mean, good for him that he was able to realize his mistake, and hopefully he doesn't do the same mistake if he gets in another relationship. Let's move on to the next story. Am I the a-hole for assuming my friend was keeping her partner away because I didn't like him when actually he didn't like me? I, 38 female, have known Ali, 40 female, for 15 years. We first met at work when we were single and the youngest people there. We became good friends and socialized together and still do. Ali then met her partner Matt, who she is still with years later. He does not share her interest. He is an avid football supporter, UK, and he is very anti the rival football team. Even when he doesn't go to watch matches live, he watches at the pub with male friends. He plays sports with his friends. She's a football widow. She likes going to the theater and to dinner. He'll go to dinner with her, but doesn't much enjoy the theater unless it's a serious play. She likes musicals. And she ends up going with female friends. She said she doesn't mind. That they aren't joined at the hip, and she has plenty of friends and relatives who enjoy going to the theater with her, and that she doesn't want to go to football. I wonder. I am known for being brutally honest. When she introduced me to Matt, she asked my opinion and I gave it. I didn't really see them together. I didn't like that he drinks and swear. He has a professional job but isn't very refined, unlike her, and I found him a bit difficult to connect to. At the time, she was hurt but got over it and generally just engineered it so I never really saw him. He was always busy when I organized a party, etc. They now have 2 young boys, and he looks after them when she comes out with her friend. To be honest, more recently my opinion of him has improved. He seems to be a really good daddy to the boys. They clearly adore him. They are also football mad. It took me longer to meet my significant other, Edward. But now I have, and we just got engaged. Ali and Matt both attended our engagement party. Edward actually also likes football and ended up getting on really well with Matt. Later, I asked Ali if she'd be up for doing something as couples, as Edward and Matt got on so well. She was non-committal. A few weeks later, I tried to arrange something and she accepted for herself, but Matt was busy. I explained I wanted to do something with the 4 of us when he was free. She kept stalling. I pushed it. Maybe I shouldn't have. And she said it wasn't a good idea because he and I didn't get on. I said it was okay. I changed my opinion more recently and Edward liked him. She looked surprised and then awkwardly let me know it was because he didn't really like me. She thought I knew. I didn't, and I was upset. This was news. I asked her why. She was embarrassed, but she said he found me judgmental and too much, quote unquote. I don't even know what that means. A few other examples as well. I was hurt and told her I had assumed she kept us apart because I didn't like him, not the reverse. She said that we didn't get on, so what's the difference? What difference did it make? I am beyond hurt and did react badly and told her some truth about him. I regret this now and try to apologize, but she won't return my calls. Am I the a-hole? Well, it's funny how it was okay when she didn't like him and she had a whole list of reasons why she didn't like him. But now that he doesn't like her, which would make sense because they don't seem to have the same interests, they don't seem very compatible, now that is a problem and she's hurt. Yeah, clearly in this context, you're the a-hole. And I mean, the friend said that her husband doesn't like you because you're too judgmental. And that seems pretty accurate from how you've described him after meeting him. You didn't like him not because he was rude to you or that he had a bad behavior. You just simply judge him for being a football fan and not being as refined. And clearly, like, this relationship between your friend and her, I keep saying you as if I'm talking to that person, but clearly the relationship between her friend and the guy, Matt, seemed to be going on pretty well. They had 2 kids. Even though they don't have the same interests, they seem to have found their own pace, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, he has his thing. He likes sports and she likes going to the theater. They don't have to do everything together. People have this idea that to be in a relationship, you need to have like identical interests, which I disagree with. It's actually good to have your own world and your own universes. And she can go out with her friends to go to see plays and things like that, and he can go out with his friends to the pub to watch the games, or if he wants to go watch the games live. But she was being very judgmental, and it's kind of funny that when she learned that he didn't like her, now that is totally unacceptable and so hurtful. Come on. So yeah, clearly you're the a-hole, and she even mentioned that she's known for being brutally honest, but yeah, apparently it doesn't work one way. It just works one way around. It's not as interesting when you're being told the truth. So I think this one is kind of an easy one as well. In this context, you're the a-hole. I'm not saying she's the worst person, even if based on this on the post, she doesn't seem very pleasant, like, for judging people so easily. But also, like, this is just, I don't want to say that she's a bad person or whatever, but she definitely seems quite judgmental. Yeah. And the hypocrisy is kind of funny in this one as well. I'm gonna read some comments. You're the a-hole. Brutal honesty isn't always code for excuse to be an a-hole. And now you're butthurt that your very own behavior got flipped on you. And you double down when she told you so. Maybe this is the time for some honest self-reflection. Very well said. Let me see. Let me get this straight. You said a bunch of incredibly rude things to someone's new partner, then one day decided you liked them actually and didn't realize that everything you've ever done to them caused them to form an opinion of you? My girl, every person who is not you in the world has a mind of their own and exists in the world outside how they relate to your life. They'll have a deep inner world just as complex as your own. Not everything is about you. Oh, and you're the a-hole. So, you not liking him is perfectly fine. Him not liking you is upsetting. Talk about hypocrisy. Do this right. You are judgmental, and you even made it clear in this post. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. You're snobbed and judged their relationship when it's not your business. That clearly leaked through in your interactions with him. I do agree with that. That's probably true, and she's probably not self-aware and she doesn't realize that, but probably that when she was whenever they interacted, she was very judgmental then and very unpleasant, and he caught up on that, and he felt that, and I'm not surprised that he doesn't like her. She doesn't seem very likable, based on this post, of course. I'm sure she wasn't very pleasant with him when she had all these thoughts in her head while she was seeing him of, oh, he's so unrefined, he only likes football, blah blah blah. So yeah. I have one final story for today. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that he didn't need to, I mean, the title is think there's a mistake in the title. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that he didn't have to embarrass the waitress? My husband, 34, is your brutally honest type of guy. He's also incredibly attractive because he takes good care of his appearance. From when we started dating, I pretty much got used to strangers or servers complimenting his looks and expressing their admiration in different ways. I always found it harmless, but he'd get so worked up over the smallest compliment from people. He thinks it's rude and ignorant. We went out to eat at a new diner. When we gave the waitress our orders, she looked at my husband, smiled, and complimented his hair. He smiled and said thank you. He then looked at me and asked if I noticed how the waitress was basically trying to flirt. I did notice, but figured maybe she did this to get more tip or something, since it's pretty common practice. And I myself used to do it. He looked at me shocked and asked, really? He then dropped it till the waitress got back with our meals. As she was putting the food down at the table, he looked at her and said, hey, let me tell you a little secret. She looked at him and was like, hmm? He then said, I have been all around the world for the past 10 years and I've seen many, many beautiful women, but I am married, he stressed like this, to the most beautiful one, and she's all I see now and forever. The waitress looked dumbfounded. She smiled awkwardly, then asked why he was telling her this. He replied saying that it's to save her time and effort with whatever she was trying to do. She looked down and quickly walked away. I said that was hurtful and wasn't called for, but he said she needed to hear it to learn a lesson and know her place. I told him she was just being harmlessly flirty, barely, which could be her way of getting better tips, and that he didn't need to embarrass her like that. He was like, I don't get you. You should be encouraging me to shut this instead. I said it was just a comment she made about his hair, and that's it. He got upset and said that I made him feel bad for trying to set a boundary for himself, but I thought he overreacted. Am I the a-hole? No, you're not the a-hole. The person who wrote this is not the a-hole. I think there's a little bit of an overreaction here from the husband. The waitress telling him that his hair looks nice. Yeah, it can be interpreted as being a little bit flirty, but it's not necessarily disrespectful to his wife. I mean, it could be just some comment that she said to be nice, or like as they said as the wife even said, just because she wants to get a tip. And yeah, his reaction seems so extreme. And I mean, it's kind of nice that he's like hyping up his wife and saying like, I'm married to the most beautiful woman and she's all I'll ever see now and forever, but maybe too much information for this poor waitress who did nothing to deserve this whole monologue that you just served her. Yeah, to me, the reaction is really extreme. I mean, if the waitress was being overly flirtatious, I could see a reaction like that. If really like someone was really coming at you and being very insistent, I think then I would understand. But in this situation, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like she made a very innocent comment. She was serving them, trying to be nice and just trying to make them feel good. Like that's her job. And he took it a little bit too far. And to me, the fact that even the wife was embarrassed in this situation. If I was her, I think I'd feel embarrassed. And just reading this, like you get this like secondhand embarrassment for his behavior, because it's just too much for what happened. So yeah, what have we learned today? Honesty is good, but not always. Sometimes you just need to shut up, really. Unless your friends are not seeing the reality and they're not seeing the truth, they're in denial, sometimes you have to tell them the truth. But I don't know, I just think you can still try and do that in a gentle manner if you can. There's no need to be rude, there's no need to be harsh. But I mean, everyone has their own style. Who am I to say? I really hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. Also, if you want, you can leave a comment. You can be brutally honest, yes, but please, please be nice.